Hey guys, Harman back for another review. So today we're going to take a look at the brand new DC Comics DC Icons Deathstroke figure. Now this is part of the 6-inch line of figures that they have out, and it's just hitting shelves the past couple weeks. So you can see it comes in that standard DC Icons box that we've seen before. It's got the clear window. You can see the figure and all the different accessories. It says Deathstroke on the side, and just the DC Comics and Icons logo. I like that they put Deathstroke's face or his like symbol on the O. Very cool, very unique. And then on the back, you can kind of see all the other characters. There's Swamp Thing, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and of course the Deathstroke in this wave. And then there's just a close-up of the full bodies. Alright, so those figures are out as well. And then one other thing, you can see a number 21 on the top right. Alright, so let's go ahead and take this out of the packaging and get a closer look. Once you take it out of the box, you're going to get a nice clear tray with just everything on here. Let's just start with the accessories first. So you do of course get the unmasked head sculpt, which is really cool, and I definitely like the detail on that. I'm really happy they didn't just give us just the mask sculpt. You can see there's a couple pairs of hands. So you're gonna have the fisted hands, and then you'll have the gripping hands. There's a sword with a sheath. There's like a staff, pretty big one too. And then looking at the guns, you have the handgun, and then you have what looks to be some kind of machine gun. Now unfortunately these accessories kind of follow suit with like the Marvel Legends Deadpool, how they didn't paint any of them, so that's a bit disappointing. And you also do get this little pamphlet in here, and it kind of gives you an idea of how to change the accessories, such as the bases and head sculpts. And then there's also directions specifically on the Deathstroke figure, and then you can see Wonder Woman on here as well. Alright, so here he is out of the box, and I think he's pretty damn cool. One thing I noticed immediately when I took this out of the box was that the joints are already like, they can move pretty easily, so there wasn't a lot of like, tightness going on. It almost seemed like somebody worked this in before I even, before I took it out of the box. So I'm pretty happy with that. A lot of times the paint gets in there and the joints are really stiff, so I'm happy with how the articulation works. But before we get that, let's go ahead and take a close-up of the head sculpt. Alright, so here's a little bit of close-up of that masked head sculpt. Now, what I love about this figure is it is based off the Judas Contract, which is arguably maybe the best story with Deathstroke, or at least the most popular look, I would say. But this is exactly what he looks like in it, and it even says that on the packaging. So I really like this look. It's not a common design that we've seen on the figure, amazingly. We've seen some Arkham Origins and stuff like that, so it's kind of refreshing to get a really classic design, so I'm happy with it. He's got the half mask, he's got the, you can actually see there's definitely some paint in the eyeball there, so it did have some detail. And he's just got these like little gold pieces, I guess, over his ears, and then he's got the like tassel from the mask in the back, and this is a bit of like a pliable material, so it moves pretty decent. It's still stiff, it's not like real soft like rubber, and I like that you really can't see like his mouth. Sometimes these figures, when they have the tighter masks on, you can see their nose and mouth, but I think it was cool that they didn't do that here. It's not like real like prominent or anything. So let's go ahead and show you the Slade Wilson unmasked head sculpt. Okay, so first you want to go ahead and pop this head sculpt off, and it's not too hard. It's got a little bit of pressure on here, and then it's just a standard peg like you would see, with any figure these days. And then you just want to pop that head sculpt on, And there you go. There's your Slade Wilson head sculpt. Now I gotta say, I actually really like this head sculpt too. I mean, they've done a really good job with the paint apps on here. I like the face has definitely got some like little marks in it, so it's not just like super flat or anything. There's a little bit of like mold, I guess residue, or like something happened with the paint here, so it's definitely not the best you know, mold for the bottom of the face, but you know, just a small complaint. I'm sure it's probably just mine, but yeah, you definitely see a little bit of that on here. The beard kind of helps, so it's not like completely noticeable, but it's not horrible. Of course, he's got the eye patch, and then you can see the string kind of goes underneath the hair. And then the hair itself looks pretty good too. It's, you know, it's got some texture to it. It's even got like a little bit of like a swoop on the sides. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this head sculpt. It's going to be a tough decision which one I want to display him with, but it's hard not to pick this masked head sculpt. Alright, and looking at the rest of the outfit here, there's so much detailing. He's got this gold like top of the collar. He's got a like strap of bullets here, and this is a separate piece, so I guess you could remove it if you wanted to. And then you can see there's actually a hole here, so I assume the sword will attach. I really like this different pattern they have. It looks like some kind of scales. I really liked how they did that. It's definitely a nice breakup between the like flat paint and then the shinier paint with that scaling, so very nice job on that. The like belt itself has got so many things going on. Now everything is in this same kind of like orange and blue scheme, so you're really not going to get a lot of breakup of color. Again, you have these like gold accents a little bit on the grenade itself, and there's like a bracelet. So really well detailed on here. I'm very happy with that. He's even got this little logo on the side. It kind of just looks like a bull right on his holsters. And in the bottom of the pants is pretty much just like the same. It's got the scales on it, and it's shinier, textured of course. And then you have the boots, which are like those like pirate type boots, so really well done. I like how they kind of hide the articulation from certain angles. So yeah, I mean, overall the detail in this outfit is really good. One thing that these are really great with is articulation. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So the head sculpt can turn pretty good all the way around. It's got a little bit of looking down, a little bit more looking up. But yeah, not the best articulation on the head sculpt, but enough anyway. The shoulders, they're a little tight, but you can, if you heat this up maybe a little bit more, it probably could go out farther. But he's got a decent arm span. You have articulation right here. You have, of course, the elbow articulation, which is a double joint on here. And then nothing at this cuff right here, but there is wrist articulation, of course, and then he can like cradle his wrist a little bit. As far as the ab, you do have the ab crunch, of course. You actually have articulation here, then you have articulation here. He doesn't have like a twist at the waist, but he can twist like the top portion of his body. As far as the kick, you can go out real far with that. He's got the double jointed knee. The top of this boot can move. The actual ankle can move to the left and to the right. And then you have up and down. And of course he gets split pretty good. So, I mean, overall, the articulation is extremely good. And then the articulation on the masked head sculpt really isn't too much better with the looking up and down thing, but you still get about the same articulation as you get with the unmasked head. Alright, so just looking at the first accessory here, you have the sword and sheath, which again, it's very well detailed, and it's got these cool little, looks like a bull skull or something on here on these labels. and then there's a peg on the other side. Now the sword pulls out of here pretty good, and then it's got a little bit of like a flex to it, but it's not all warped and bent. It's actually pretty straight. But again, the detail is pretty good on here. It is painted, which is nice. And like I showed you early on in the video, there is a hole in the back of them, so you could just pretty much peg that sword and sheath right in there. So if you want to just display him with it on his back, you can easily do that. Now, of course, you can put that in his hand, and you do have these different gripping hands, and then you could just put the sword right in there. And he seems to hold it pretty good. It's a little loose in there, but it's not horrible. But he does seem to hold it pretty well on the back and on his hand. Now changing the hands is pretty simple. You don't really have to pull that hard on here. It just pops right off. Just a regular peg like you would see with any figure these days, and then you could just put this different gripping hand in here. Now this hand actually, unlike this other gripping hand, this is more for guns. So if you put the sword in the left hand, he definitely holds it much better. So this is, my guess, this is definitely intended to be held in his left hand. So yeah, he holds that perfectly. So the next accessory you get is just going to be the like Magnum here. It's just a revolver, and there's no paint on it. It's just gray. So it's kind of lame as far as the paint goes, but at least you get the gun. It doesn't really fit well in this holster either. He's got a pretty good grip on that. So if you want to have him displayed holding this gun, you could do that. And the next gun he has is this kind of different looking, it looks like maybe a machine gun, maybe with a silencer. I'm not 100% sure what kind of gun this is. It's definitely unique. And it's got a little bit of an extended grip on here, but he can still hold that pretty well. And as far as I can tell, you really don't have anywhere to store this gun on him, so I guess just put it in his hand or just don't display him with it. But again, it doesn't really have any good paint or anything on here. It's just all gray. Alright, and the last accessory you get is his staff, which is as big as he is. Now this one here, you're gonna have to use both the gripping hands if you really want to get a decent pose with it. You could just kind of slide one side of it into one hand and then just clip the other one into it. And it's got a little bit of flexibility on it, but he can hold it pretty good. And one more thing about this staff also is if you want, it does look like it's a solid piece, but it actually does break down into three like little pieces here. So it comes fully assembled in the box. Alright, so for the first comparison, here he is next to the Marvel Legends Deadpool figure. And this is the newest Deadpool made by Hasbro. And unfortunately, they just aren't in the same scale together. I'm not sure if the DC Collectibles one's just a little bit on the short side, but they should definitely still be at a 6-inch scale. So yeah, I was kind of hoping these guys would match up a little bit better, but still they look really cool. Here he is next to the Mafex Dark Knight Rises Batman. Here he is next to the Movie Masters Bane from Dark Knight Rises. Here he is next to the NECA Toys Heath Ledger Joker, and this is in more of a 7-inch scale. And here he is next to the Arkham Origins DC Collectibles Deathstroke. Now you can see a huge difference in design change, a lot of armor going on, and again, this is in more of the 7-inch scale. And for the last comparison, here he is next to the Batman the Animated Series Expression Pack Batman, and this is also made by DC Collectibles. And again, I mean, he's supposed to be 6 inches tall, but the icons just look maybe just a little bit on the short side. So yeah, I mean, they may not match up perfect with every 6-inch figure. Alright, so that's my review of the DC Icons Deathstroke figure. Overall, I really like it. I think the paint, particularly on the body, is really well done. Very popular design for Deathstroke. If you're a fan of like Teen Titans especially, this is definitely the look you want. I mean, for years he was mainly in those Teen Titans books, but he's kind of migrated over to more Batman titles and, you know, within. But this is definitely a figure that a lot of people have wanted, and we finally got a really good version. My only really downside to this is I think the scale's kind of weird. I wish he was just a little bit bigger so he could kind of match up to those Marvel Legends, especially, you know, Deadpool. But overall, it's a really good figure and it's a great line. You should be able to find this in any local comic shop for about $28, and they should be pretty much anywhere at this point. Like I said, it shipped a couple weeks ago. So yeah, definitely pick this one up if you're a Batman fan, Teen Titans, or you just really like this character. Alright guys, so please like the video, subscribe, leave a comment or question if you have one, and until next time, see ya!